Welcome to the Margin Business Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. In today's episode, we got Dan Roberge. Dan is the CEO of Maintenance Care, a company mostly dedicated to software and to make the lives easier of their users. Of how exactly that is happening, Dan will tell us definitely in the podcast. But before all of this, Dan, please, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? And how does anyone get like yourself go into an interesting sector like software development, engineering? My guess. Let's speak about this as well. How did you get there? Please tell us more about all of this.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. For my journey, it started about I guess 25 years ago, or maybe even more. The first time I kind of came across a computer, but we didn't grow up with computers in my generation. We didn't really see one in school until late high school, so it wasn't something that like the kids today grow up with. But in my job, kind of history and all the kind of the places that I worked at, we had more and more exposure to it, and I really took a liking to it. And then my background is in marketing, advertising and marketing, and I had a good friend that's a developer, and he's kind of a software engineer, and we basically 20 some odd years ago decided, what, we need to create a software for this particular product. There was a need that we felt in our business office that we were working in, there was a need for. So we always wanted to go into that marketplace and the software market. And so we created the first software 20 years ago. And, the thing that was different for us back then was software was being sold, with a CD or a disc that you would buy, and you would pay a one-time fee, and then you would pay maybe a yearly licensing fee for that. But software as a service, which is just a monthly membership of the software, was totally new. Like it was, I think there was a company called Salesforce at the time that was doing it, and that's about it. And that's all we knew. And we were like, we want this business model. So we built our software right from the beginning as a software as a service. And that was kind of what allowed us to displace the competition early on, because they were charging way too much upfront, and then kind of got us to build our company that way. So
wow, yeah. That's such a great story, because when you speak about selling the disc with the services and everything, it brings memories, the old CD-ROM, that you can get for the service. I mean, it was a lot easier back then. My guess is because there was a lot less competition, but as well, the code on the disk maybe was very big, and you needed to keep them into limits. I'm not sure about that, but this is my guess, because when I think back, there was only a certain amount of space what you had on there. If not, you cannot run around with 3 disks. I mean, I think some software companies did it actually, but it's definitely something very interesting. And then to see the development. Can I ask, what was the first software actually?
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny you say that about this. I remember we used to have to install like 6 disks if we want. Adobe, I think they had like 6 disks
Adobe had
you had to put in.
Yeah.
But I mean, our first software was Maintenance Care. That's what we built. Was so we we built that. It wasn't called that at the time. It was called something else, called My Super, because we were going to focus more on the condo market and superintendents and things like that. And so but the concept around the software was just, you see a problem in the building, you want to communicate it to the maintenance person. How do you do that through our tool? That was kind of the beginning of it. And it was totally different. And it's true what you said, like the competition, it was kind of easy up front for us to displace the competition, because they were installing CDs and it was expensive. But if you remember, there was a whole bunch of other challenges with that market, which was things like you needed an IT team to manage the software, to back up the software. Every time we talked to somebody be saying to us, oh, we just lost all our data, they can't recover it, and we have to go to another software. No, that was always playing into our advantage, because we back up for them and so on. So that was all the challenges they had, and why it was easier for us to displace them. Yeah.
Oh, this I guess this was definitely something. So you had everything backed up actually. So this was your as well, is part of your software actually. So you had the backup on servers, or back then, how did you store the data? Because it's as well It's a security matter. Obviously, you had to have something secure in your building, which most probably was very big or not that big at this time, but grew with time.
Yeah, if you think about it, like the Amazon of the worlds weren't around, the AWS, which is where most people host like cloud services now. And so we had to find a provider that had kind of the structure that we wanted with multiple servers and be able to back up. And obviously we didn't have a lot of money because we didn't go out and get funding. So it wasn't like we could buy like 20 servers and just be safe. So there were times where we went down, and we learned from those moments where we were down for sometimes, it happened for 12 hours we were down, and we, all day are working at restoring the service. And it wasn't our fault. It was the provider who, one of them, they actually unplugged the server, and that's how come we were down. That's how kind of basic things were back then. And so, we learned from it, buying multiple servers, backing up from different sites, like even going off site to another site. I think that was a challenge for sure, because we were so early in the concept that the infrastructure wasn't there to support us yet. And so that was a challenge for sure. But we offered those services to our customers, the backup, there was the advantage of too, like if you imagine when they were upgrading, let's say back then to Windows 98, Windows NT, they were upgrading operating systems. If they had purchased the software, that upgrade maybe didn't work, with their current software. So they had to pay for another software to upgrade, the original purchase that they had done for their whatever software they had purchased. So with ours, you would always be up to date. Even if you increase your operating system to a new one, our software would adapt to it because it was fully browser based. So that was another advantage for them.
Okay. I'm actually laughing because it's I remember the Windows the noise when Windows was, when they had some error message or something like that.
Yes.
This was pretty funny. The bling, and this was this now. And then you have the whole windows opening up to the end. It's just that this was just came in my mind, So
yes,
yeah,
yes.
I mean, it's really amazing of the development of everything and how long a software is in the making. Because what we have nowadays is that entrepreneurs coming and saying, okay, let's build a software. We have like a team, and we want to do it, and let's do it, and I can give an example as well. A friend of mine, he did the same, and 3 years later the team is bigger and they're still working on the software. It's not an easy ride, maybe we were lucky that we already working with it. Obviously it got some bugs, and that's why we cannot commercialize it, but the team is working with it, and we are good to go. But what I want to say is that anybody who wants to build a software, the idea is good, but as you take an example on Dan, because Dan, it took him 25 years to take the software where it is today. And this is, this is development, which and nobody can do like in 1 or 2 years, because this is it's a big thing. Because when we hear nowadays software is like, oh, look, now we have services. Services is getting annoying because customers are annoying. Let's sell software, What they're going to do is they want to sell software, but at the end, you're going to spend thousands of dollars to develop, and you are not there. So what do you think? How can you maybe give a shortcut for anyone who's listening when they're working on a software? Maybe nowadays they have templates. You have templates, for example, which you can put already in, and you don't only have to put the developer who gets in the back end, connects an API somewhere where you need to be connected to. Or what do you think? What is your special hack on that? How young entrepreneurs can get their software a little bit faster than 25 years?
Well, yes, hopefully now everything's gotten better. It doesn't take that long. But, I think the first decision that an entrepreneur should make is whether or not they want to do this on their own, or whether they can go out and get funding. I think that, we chose the route of, and still choose the route of, just being on our own. And we're able to become profitable with our own development, our own time, from real earnings that we made from the software. And that's not true for everybody. Sometimes people want to make a different decision and say, I want to go get funding, get a lot of employees to build a product, and then go out to market after that. But then you lose a little bit of control, and you have to be aware of what you lose and what you gain. So that's a first decision I think anybody should make before you even start. Maybe you'll do that a bit later. Maybe you'll do that at the beginning. if you're lucky enough to have that good idea that somebody wants to invest in. But the other part is minimum viable product. I mean, everybody talks about this. So instead of going out and trying to design your product to be everything, start with something unique and small and really make that good. You're not going to grow super fast because of it, because you've got all these bells and whistles, and there's going to be a lot of customers. They're going to ask for more, and you're going to have to work with them to say, this is not there yet. But at the very least, you're going to have something to go to market. If you do want to go get investors, they're going to see that as, okay, this is actually a product that we could build on, and there's already revenue, and there's already a proof of concept in this. So I think that no matter what route you go, try to build something that's unique, small, and very pinpointed, and go with just that. There's other things you can do, like, for example, even things like Salesforce. I've mentioned Salesforce. Salesforce has a tool where you can build your own software within Salesforce. Like, they're basically a development tool within itself. So if you're coding, raw coding, because you have that resource, or that you're able to do that, that's great. But what if you can't? So there's other tools out there like a Salesforce where you're using their platform to build a software. And that could be a route also that you can take if you don't have the resources for full stack developers and things like that.
Okay, there came something in my mind as well. I agree with that as well. It's a very good tip. The Bubble.io is as well. Just check it out. It's you don't even need really, like, you need a few bit of coding knowledge, but you can build actually a tool out of it. So it's definitely something as well where you have a little shortcut. Obviously, you cannot get around bugs and everything, because software is a software, and the development, like the word said, it needs to develop. But it's definitely helps. But you won't match Dan's product, because it's so long in the making. It's a bit difficult. There's so big softwares out there which is so long on the market, like Adobe. They changed even the name in the past years, and developed their product even better, and everything was built actually from Photoshop, was built on the initial Photoshop, or what was it, Flash 4, or afterwards the later on, I don't even know if it still exists today, but everything is developing, and they built on the basis of an amazing software from the beginning. So make sure that your basis is good, because when you build on it, it's like you're building on a house, and when the foundation is not good, your whole software is going to crumble after a bit. A few questions for you. For example, there is other softwares. I'm sure you have some. I'm sure right now you have competitors, or maybe some brands software brands you look at and you got inspired by. And who is doing the business right at the moment? Where's that direction, and what is the name of the companies you would mention at this point?
So yes, definitely we do have competitors, and that's a whole other conversation to talk about when you're talking about what their tactics are. Sure. And how you respond to them. But as far as companies that we model ourselves after, I mean, I've always admired companies who have a core just desire to grow, and they'll do anything they can to grow their product. And I'll use like a big name that everybody knows, something like Netflix. And Netflix, to me, it's a company that started off as a DVD trading company, and they were sending DVDs in the mail, trying to compete with Blockbuster Video at the time. And they were sending a DVD, and there's no late fees, and you can send a DVD back anytime you want. That they were finding what were the problems with Blockbuster Video. You were getting late fees if you weren't bringing your movies back. And so that was the initial concept. And then they went to streaming, and then they didn't just stop there. They actually went to, we're going to develop our own content. So, and it wasn't such an obvious, now it seems obvious, like, of course, develop your own content. But back then, it wasn't so obvious. They were just renting shows and movies from other people and then restreaming them, because that was the concept. If you think about it, Blockbuster Video developing their own content back then would have also been crazy. But Blockbuster stayed stagnant and didn't do anything, whereas Netflix kept moving and moving and moving into new areas. And so I mean, I think those types of companies that change, Amazon is another one. It was a book trading company that went to let's sell everything to let's have other people sell on our store, to let's do server hosting, let's do other things, Amazon Alexa. So they obviously, the bigger you get, the more choices you get. But the what I like to see is those types of changes within their own concept, not being afraid to change what they do, but still service the audience that they're going after. So that's a big inspiration for us.
Oh, definitely. I think you
Yeah.
mentioned, two companies which are definitely done the way, survived the last decades, I would say the last 2 decades. Netflix came, I've seen it was on my radar a lot later. But Blockbuster, I still remember them, and yes, they seem very old school after a while, with the DVDs and all that stuff. That's definitely true. Do you have a team actually in your in-house? I mean, how big is your company? I mean, how many employees do you have?
Yeah, so again, we're all fully self-funded. So it was very important for us to stay as tight of a group as possible. Even though we have tens of thousands of customers across Canada and the US and around the world, our team's still fairly small. So we're about 25 team members. And so we have sales support and so on. But our development team is also very so one of our owners, or my developer friend, who is one of the owners in the company, is from Poland, and so he has a team back in Poland that he's still, that he knew and grew up with, that we now have this kind of core development team in Poland that we can utilize. And then we do have some here in Canada, which is where one of our head office, we have an office in Canada and in the US. And so we have some developers in Canada as well. So, but what we've been focusing, now that we've built the core of the product, maintenance care, we've actually been able to respond better to our customers' needs now. So it's all about, well, it'd be better if the software could do it this way or add this little feature. And so we've been able to respond that way. And we try never to look at the competition, what they're doing. We try to listen to our customers instead, right? And so now I know for a fact our competition have looked at us and have copied some of our features, but that's something we try to stay away from, because we want to develop our own vision for our software. And that's another thing that's important, is to know what you want to go after as far as your flow. And are you a productivity tool? Are you a different type of software, a design tool? Like, what is your goal and how do you stay true to that? And that's to listen to your customers and build in that direction, right? So, and that's what our team's been able to do.
I think it's very, very important to have such a vision, because the soul of the company is created normally of passion. Same in e-commerce. Actually, what I spoke in the webinar just now about is, if you want to sell products, you need to have passion. It needs to be your product. The times are over that you actually just get a product and, like I said, just put that white label on it, and get a white label and put your logo on it and then sell it to sell the software. It's hard. If you want to do that, it's hard right now. It's not anymore. So really something out of passion. You're an engineer, for example, and you see X has this problem and this company has this problem, and you have good connection to a company. You might even propose these services and can create a software out of it. So everything comes with a purpose. That's what I want to say. Nowadays, we need to have a purpose in order to bring out a software or any type of product that we want to market. As well with cross-border team and cross-border workers in the Canada, in Poland. The next question would be as well, you must have a very good structure in the company, like a company culture, if this makes sense for you. So what are the values, for example, in your company, or in the kind of business you are in within the company?
Yeah, it's funny. It is difficult to run when you have a business, when you have employees all over the place, right? Like you're not in the office every day seeing them and managing them. And so the first core item, you need to manage your books very, very well. So we have 3 partners in the company, and our third partner is actually my wife, Lori. And that is one of the areas we wouldn't be surviving as a business if we didn't manage our money and our processes, our operations, everything has to be managed with systems and clear processes. That way, no matter if you're there physically or not, they're following those steps and everybody knows exactly where we're heading. So that's one thing, is we instilled a really practical day-to-day approach to our business. And I think that's key, because we, funny enough, like 20 years ago when we started, we all worked from home, and now it's become a new thing that everybody wants to do, but we were doing it 20 years ago. So we've learned a lot of lessons. Like once the pandemic, the lockdowns and everything came out, we were able to just continue business. Like for us, it didn't change anything. But for a lot of a lot of our competitors or a lot of other companies, they struggled with that. And our employees were used to it. And that's because we had processes in place. We had tools like Zoom. We already had tools like that we were using. And so the communication, we chat every day. We do video calls every day. So we have a good culture where the team participates in everything, but it all starts with really sound processes that everybody agrees this is what we need to do so that we all can communicate well. And I think that's part of business. That's part of growing a business, is not just having these ideas and just going out and creating something that you think is awesome. You also have to take a step back and either have a person on your team, like we were lucky enough to do, or you to have that skill for yourself to be very methodical about processes.
It's super important to have a good company culture, especially in cross-border. When you're in cross-border environment with employees which are a bit everywhere, I'm asking you because we have the same. Actually, we have employees all over the world, especially mostly in Europe, but still we are a remote business. So for us, it's as well super important to have these processes in place, to talk with the team. Because without the team we're nothing. So we need to make sure that everyone is happy and everything is running very smoothly, especially in our type of digital business, because everything is very fast lived. You press a button, something else goes off. It's it's another world than brick and mortar.
And you need to have measurable goals too. That's the other thing, because it's good for the employee and like your team, because they know they're being successful, and also it's good for the owners of the business, because you understand that you're progressing. If you don't have measurable goals, then that's where you might think, what have they been doing for the last couple of weeks? I don't even know, and because you have no goals. And so those measurable goals for each person is actually mutually beneficial for everybody in the company. So
definitely, I agree with that. Concerning your products that your company is selling, or the software that you're selling, can you give me a few points on how can you make your customers' life easier?
Absolutely. So we do facility management software. So our product, Maintenance Care, manages any building should have this software or software like it, which they also call it a CMMS, computerized maintenance management system. And so we manage the day-to-day of the maintenance team, and that encompasses everything for everybody in the building, really, because if there's a light bulb out somewhere, our software will help communicate that the light bulb is out. The person who notices it can submit a work order to the maintenance team. There's preventative maintenance, so all the things that help the building stay kind of active, depending on the type of building it is. Our system will remind the maintenance team when they're supposed to do filter changes and oil changes, whatever it is that they need to do. And then also manage the equipment cost and life expectancy of all the assets in the building, right? So you want to make sure that they last as long as possible. They don't break down when you need them. And when you do replace them, you have a plan for it, and you can, save money by getting quotes and just having time to replace it. So our biggest ROI for our software is that we do three major ones that we always talk about. The first one being productivity improvements. So you're gonna do things faster and more efficiently. You're not gonna wait around for things, because you're gonna be able to pre-plan things. So that productivity improvement is huge. Second one would be liability. So the ability to reduce the risk of injuries and slip and falls and things like that, and that concept. And then the third is just purely on asset management and the ability to make your equipment last longer. Your actual dollar value for operating the facility is going to be a lot less. So those are three return on investments dedicated to our type of software. And that's what we focus on as our goal. And that's why we think we're successful, because we don't just, there's buttons for this and buttons for that, but the core is to make you successful in those three areas, right? So.
Okay. So is it does it need to be only in Canada, or can it be like cross-border to the US or anywhere you want?
Anywhere. It's a web-based tool, so you use it with a browser, any browser that you want. We also have an app for obviously for Apple and Android phones and tablets. But yeah, you just log in from anywhere and you can use it for any type of building. We have hospitals and long-term care homes and schools and manufacturing and golf courses and hotels and resorts and airports, whatever, you name it, we have that type of building. And they all find the same use out of it, because a building is a building, and an HVAC system is an HVAC system, and people are people too. So they behave the same way typically in a building. So that's what we've been able to bring. And we also have a free version, and it's just a single user free version, which is another really interesting, the freemium aspect of things for entrepreneurs is a good concept if you want to explore it. There's a lot of ways you can gain new business from giving some part of your software for free. And we do that. We have a single user, very limited features, but you can use it and get an introduction to the software, but it's free forever. It's not just a trial. You can use it as long as you want and try it. And so that's been interesting, because we have, tens of thousands of customers that use that as a free version too. Then you can market to them to try to upgrade once they see the value in the software, right?
That's really great. I think it's a very good niche, which I've actually never heard of, and I think it's something very useful. Where can anybody get in contact with you? I mean, where's the best to get in touch with you, on LinkedIn or via email or directly over through the website, if he has questions or anything?
The best place is our website, maintenancecare.com.
Okay.
We also have our YouTube channel. Yeah, and thank you. And the other one is our YouTube channel. Obviously has tons of informational videos, interviews, and that we do with our own customers. And these are real interviews that we let them talk, and they talk like real experience about our software and how it's benefited them. And that could be of value if you're thinking about something. You can really hear what they have to say. So that would be the two main things. Obviously, we're on LinkedIn and Facebook as under Maintenance Care, and that's probably the best place. Or you can even connect with me if you want, Dan Roberge. I'm connected to the Maintenance Care on LinkedIn. Happy to connect with everybody.
Great, that's amazing. One last question I got for you: if you would have the attention of the whole world for 5 minutes or 1 minute, what is your message?
Wow. Okay. Well, I guess I'm probably not going to answer the right answer because I didn't get much time to think about this, but I will say this. I think if you can develop a good compass of whatever it is that you are in life, like whether it's whatever your goals are, whatever happens around you, as long as you have a good compass of where you want to head, that stuff shouldn't change too much of your path. And that applies to social situations, any pressures you have from your peers, or even just in business. If you can have a vision, it's not saying you're not open-minded, but if you can have a vision and have a good compass of knowing what's right and wrong for yourself, I think that's going to make you successful in every aspect of your life, not just in business. So
I think it's a very, very, very good advice especially for entrepreneurs as well, for generally in life. But I think it's matching a lot to entrepreneurs, because you had as well, you are an entrepreneur, you are running a successful software company, and this is much appreciated. Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you for the value you have given today. I learned again something today. I learn every time from my guests. I'm very thankful for that, because it's this is something new for me, a software for maintenance software. Thank you for being here, and I wish you much luck, and for the development for where you want to go, and maybe we catch up at some point, and we got a new type of software where you can actually maybe be in the metaverse.
That's correct. Yeah, that'll be fun. Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Dan.